say, wow. Thank you for caring about our city. This is the largest crowd we've had at 360, and with the Raiders now joining us, we're probably at about 380. So thank you, because at the end of the day, that's what the community is about its residents and the quality of people. So thank you for attending. I'd like to introduce my councillors at this time that are here. I'll ask you to save the applause to the end. I'll get them to stand up and wave. I have Councillor Charlene Miller, Councillor Rick Orr, Councillor Lee Atkinson, Councillor Tim Sharkowski, Councillor Martin Moraine, and Councillor Ted Zirakowski. These are my councillors. Thank you. I do have a special guest, and she doesn't know I was going to introduce her, but I'm going to get her to stand up and wave. She's just in the back there, and her name is Joanne Tanis. Now, who Joanne is, if you see the cartoons of Council and myself in the Herald, she is the cartoonist. She's a local lady, and she enjoys the job that she does, and so I invited her today because we get lots of coverage. She really helps us not let the bridge issue go away. I think she's drawn the most cartoons of the bridge than anyone, so I'd like to thank her. I'd like to also personally thank Minister Moe for joining us today. Just so you know, he participates in lots of discussions in our community with our local MLAs and our regional MLAs, and we want to thank him for that. He's well versed on the Bridge Committee. He meets with them on a regular basis, so I want to thank you for his commitment because, as you know, he has the largest, as the minister, PA Herald, no PA now, just all over. He has the largest geographical area in the province that he's responsible for. There we go. It's all about balance. I'm going to make my presentation a little different. This year I'm going to start by talking about each department, and then I'm going to end on our budget and our financial situation, which I gave you a forecast last year, and unfortunately most of it's come true, which has saddened me, but we're not out of the woods yet, so I'll close just before that, and then I'll ask for questions, and we'll have to limit them because, of course, we're going to be running a little late because we have so many people to get through the food line. One thing that I'm very proud of is the way that we've changed the way that we do business and structure at council. We now have, if you've been in the council chamber, we now have 2 big screens, and every motion or resolution that's going to go forward is up on the screen, so everybody understands it, that there can be no misunderstanding. We have a few less meetings in the year because the meetings that we do now have are longer and larger. We've changed the way that we do the executive committee and presentations. Now we're all there. And I think the biggest thing that has helped us, it's certainly helped me, and I've been here for 12 years, is our exchange now with our administration staff. When we have a report coming forward, they either have to do a PowerPoint or a verbal presentation. And it's really educated us on actually how the internal workings of the city work. And it does help us make our decisions. Of course, sometimes we whine because of the length of the meetings. But at the end of the day, that's what we get paid for. We should never be on the clock. When we have to make serious decisions for our city, we should take as much time that it has to. And so I'd like to also thank our city clerk at this time because she took the program on to change this. And as you know, as adults, especially at our age, we don't like change. Except for today, we like to change in the weather. We do like that. We continue to move forward with our customer service program and our positive feedback at City Hall. We did something unique this year. We hired a secret shopper. And this secret shopper phoned all our departments, all our secretaries, to see if they were answering the phone the right way. Were they friendly when they answered the phone? Did they identify themselves? Because that's one of the complaints we always got from the general public. Well, I talked to a nice lady. Well, you need to know the name. So they have to give their name. And so the ones that failed got a little note from us, and we continue to move forward that we want to be customer service friendly. And we're going to continue with that program. So now I'm going to start off with one of our biggest departments, which is Public Works. Again, in 2015, we had a record year with investing over $15 million in new construction. This is the third year in a row that we've been over $15 million. And it's starting to show. We're getting lots of comments from the general public. The four biggest highlights, of course, is our continued paving program. This year we completed another 44 blocks for a total investment of $4.3 million. We have now repaved, resurfaced, rebuilt 210 blocks. That's 11% of our roadways. So I have to congratulate our contractors and our staff because that's an ongoing big project. Because there's lots to do before you pave a street. We have to photograph the lines underneath because the last thing we want to do is put new pavement down and then have to dig it up for water and sewer. So we're very prudent in making sure that the roads that we do are ready to be done. In 2015, we continued to replace 3 more sewage stations. We have 3 left to do. These units were 60 years old and did fail us when we had our 2-day power outage. We could deliver water to your house, but we could not remove the sewer. We won't be in that position again. This year we'll complete our sewer system. And of course, one of our most popular programs, the 2nd Avenue Water, Sewer, and Storm replacement at $2.2 million. We'll be able to be very happy now that we'll be able to go down that street for years. Also the landfill. We are spending another $1.8 million on a new cell for our landfill. That is why, as council and our residents, we must continue to push recycling. The less we can take to the landfill, the less our landfill is going to cost. But again, this year we're building another cell to just fill with garbage at a cost of $1.8 million. So I really encourage everyone that we have to start recycling. In 2016, again, we're going to invest almost $16 million. $4 million, again, in our paving program. $3 million, which we will recover from the province of Saskatchewan. So thank you. Under the Highway Connector program, to do the repairs on the bridge, to remove the cement guardrails and all the rails will be done this year. We've done something unique this year. We've hired the contractor that did the bridge in Saskatoon, and we get an incentive program to get it done earlier. We will start the bridge construction this year on April the 6th, because it's different than when you're in the ground. It's going to be removing cement, so they can start early, and they estimate it will be 120 days. But only at one time will only ever be one lane closed on the bridge. So if they're working on the north side, it'll be limited to 1 lane. Then when they move to the other side, it'll be limited to 1 lane. And I do hope that we have to pay them the incentive to get it done early, because we know how frustrating those delays are. We will finish, as I mentioned, our 3 lift stations this year at a final cost of $3.6 million. This has been covered by the gas tax. With our share of the gas tax that we get, we've been using it to build the lift stations. So it's part of our budget, but it's not part of our tax budget. We also have another $1 million invested in a water main replacement program. We need to bring water from our reserve by the cemetery, and we have to bring it all the way past to the soccer center. We have to feed water to Lake Estates. Their expansion is going on, and we also want to start developing the West Hill, so we need to bring water to that. We also are going to spend $500,000 this year to clean out and to replace all our drainage system, our above ground drainage system. Over the years it has grown in, there's trees in there, and one day it's going to affect us. We're also going to put in place an ongoing maintenance program so that we don't have to do that again. That once we get our drainage system clean, we're going to have an ongoing maintenance program to make sure that's done. We've also purchased another piece of unique equipment. It is called an asphalt zipper, but actually what we're going to do it for, it's a front end loader with a rotor tiller on the front. And that's the best way to describe it. And what we're going to use it for is we have to do our back lanes. Our back lanes all over the city are in terrible condition. They're rutted out, they're flooding, they're causing the residents' damage. So we're going to refurbish as many lanes as we can. It'll be a multi-year program, but after years of complaining, we finally can start. One of our biggest highlights in the public works, and actually that flows over into the city, but in the public works, and I wish Gord was here, is Mission Zero. I really have to encourage every business here to look at this program. We've embraced and adopted this program, and we live this program. We live it, and we've reaped the benefits. We received a rebate of $221,000 from workmen's compensation. Now that's a big wow. That's a big savings. But the big savings for me is that, and why I embrace the program, no matter what we do, at the end of the day, I want our workers to go home safe and not injured. So anyone that's out there, please look at it. So we're going to continue these programs in investing. I'm going to go to community services. The Rotary Trail, after I think 13 or 14 years, is close to completion. We have 1.5 kilometers left to install in the trail, which will go from Pineview Home Care Center to the West Flat, roughly of a cost of $350,000, which the Rotary Club continues to raise money for in the community. So anyone that's involved with that, thank you. And what's unique about the work that we did in the last year is if you go to the field house now, we put an asphalt track that is part of the Rotary Trail. So if you want to work out at the field house and run this track that is part of the Rotary Trail system, it's 1.5 kilometers. So again, we're going to get our community out and healthy. The water slides, they're looking great. They're 3 different colors. They stand out in our community. And the young people and the unfortunate people that use that as their summer vacation spot is so happy to see that. So the Kinsman Club and everyone that participated and donated to the water slides, thank you. Something unique about Community Service Department that we've hired this year is Bruce Vance. He's in charge of grants for our community, which are available both in the provincial and federal government. In the first 7 months, this is 7 months, Bruce has raised $477,500 in funding for our facilities. He is also tasked with facilitating fundraising for our community clubs, who also now struggle with volunteer base and funding. Part of his portfolio is also sponsorship money, in which to date we've roughly raised over $200,000. 2 of the largest parts is $75,000 at the golf course, which will be reinvested at the golf course. He is soon bringing a report to council with a $100,000 donation to rename downtown's Lions Park. Again, this money will be turned back over and reinvested in those ball fields. Going forward in that department, the excitement continues to build as we will host the 2018 World Junior Basketball Championships with 15 countries arriving in our city. This is a large economic spin-off for our community, and it's going to see 3 of our diamonds refinished, so congratulations to that group. Tourism and Destination Marketing Fund. Council is in the process and has been reviewing these 2 areas, and soon will make a decision on the new model. Our fire department. Our fire department today is 129 years old, and we've hired our first female firefighter. Congratulations to you. I would also like to thank Chief Everett, wherever the chief is, thank him for spearheading the evacuees of the residents of the northern fires this summer. He was our go-to guy, and if you could remember, we were prepared to house 1,500, and we had over 5,000. We accomplished this. Kudos to the chief, the Red Cross, the Grand Council, who set up the Memorial Gym and collected clothes, foods. We all came together as a community, all parts of our community, and for that, we should all be congratulated. Police. We continue to be the busiest force in the province per call level per officer. We are working with our partners in the community to deal with their needs. We continue to deal and work on our regional challenges. One of our most successful programs is targeted enforcement that is making our streets safer. The other thing that we've done, we've invested in the state-of-the-art equipment. Our half tons. Yeah, you never know what's going to get you. It's a half ton. And we really put it undercover. They're Dodge half tons. So they're really undercover. But if you notice on top of them, there's two things, and they flash red all the time. We have to thank SGI. That's a program with the SGI in the province of Saskatchewan. And what those two things do, you'd be incredible how quick they read license plates. That's what they do. They read license plates. And the new computer system that has been developed for those readers tell us if the vehicle is registered. We're averaging 5 a day not registered vehicles. And it hasn't let up. But what else it tells, what I like, it also tells us if the owner of that vehicle is disqualified from driving. If they have an impaired driving conviction, or if they're suspended. This equipment will make our streets safer for all of us. And so kudos to the department for keeping us modern. Now I want to talk about partnerships. This is an area that I'm most pleased to say that we continue to grow. We continue to have regular meetings with our two RMs, the RM of Buckland and the RM of Prince Albert, that are here today. Thank you. To work on our common goals. In our last meeting, we now discussed on how we're going to look at doing purchase together, and when we need gravel, clay, that we're going to work together because they have it and we need it, and so we're going to continue to move forward with that. We have a great partnership with the City of Saskatoon. The relationship continues to supply us with professional assistance. For example, at our bridge conference, our keynote speaker was City Manager Murray Torlin. He spoke about Saskatoon's experiences with their large projects. Mayor Don Atchison, and I have a strong friendship that continues to grow, gives me advice on what to do. He would like me to report, since my last State of the City address, he has now lost 62 pounds and is now harassing me because he did it by physical exercise, where I lost 40 pounds by diet. So we continue to poke fun at each other at the end of the day with a common goal to be healthier. So I'd like to thank the Mayor of Saskatoon and their council and staff for helping us. They're always there. Our First Nations community. We are so excited about their plans to continue to grow their assets and holdings, not only in our city, but in the surrounding areas. This means jobs for their people and good jobs. So Chief, thank you for your continued support. The province of Saskatchewan. It has been amazing to talk about the province of Saskatchewan. Minister Jim Ryder, who is the Minister of Government Relations, continues to be a great asset to us as our go-to person. Just to give you a few highlights of the province adding to our community. Over the past 2 years, they've increased employment in the 2 correctional centers by 200 employees. Thank you. That's a big asset. Because one thing that we have to do is continue to grow our tax base to help us. Under the Urban Connector program, they supplied the City of Prince Albert, as I mentioned earlier, another $3 million for the repair of the John Diefenbaker Bridge. And hopefully it'll be done quickly. As I mentioned before, we've done the new contract. So at this time, I would like to thank Prime Minister Bradwell, Minister Ryder, Minister Moe, for their continued support of the city, and once again, thank you to the province of Saskatchewan. Another record for our city, even though I don't like these 3 letters, I added the 4th, the G, is our official community plan has now been approved by the province of Saskatchewan. And for them, I thank. We have one condition that we must meet, and we will be tackling in the months to come, and that's to deal with the 1 in 500 floodplain. So we still have some work to do, but now our plan's approved, so now we can move our community plans ahead. The planning department has done many changes that we made, and they are responding to community needs. Before speaking further about the department, I have to speak about the private development. As you know, when I ran, I wanted to get out of development and I wanted to encourage private development. We have many private developers that are now active in our city. Some of these developers are, and they're huge if you go buy their properties. Some of these developers are Lake Estates, Dermaturco, Woodbridge Estate, Adanac Point, the Amigo Subdivision, Northridge, Brown Subdivision, which is a country residential north of the river. In regards to social housing, we have still, even though financing has been a challenge, we have 3 very active groups in our community that's tackling affordable housing, which is Riverbank Development, PA Community Housing, and the Canadian Mental Health. They continue to be active, even though they face many challenges with both provincial and federal funding. When you talk about contractors, we, again last year, had 2 award-winning contractors, R&F Ventures and Miller Contracting, that continues to bring pride to us as they work all over the place. So congratulations. The downtown. I have to give continued kudos to the Main Street program and the BID as they continue to fund new facades in our older and historical buildings. I think one of our most exciting days that we had is when we all attended the reopening of the Presbyterian Church. That was just months away from being demolished, one of our most beautiful heritage centers. And then the Baptist Church stepped forward, purchased it, and invested the money to repair the failing structure. So that was one of our proudest moments because that was one of our main historical businesses. In our retail sector, we continue to grow at a fast pace. That is evident every time you drive by Cornerstone, there's construction. But I encourage you when you're driving around, next time you go by, and you go by the Home Depot site, which was the site right behind, right on the corner of 6th and 15th, right behind the Toronto Dominion Bank, there is now a new sign that said the property has been sold to Rock Development out of Ontario, and according to the sign, they intend to add 90,000 square feet more retail. Wow. We are going to be the service and transportation center of Northern Saskatchewan. Now I'm going to talk about finance and budget. Of course, you've all heard our tax increase, 1%. 1%. I have to thank my colleagues on council for the diligent work that they did on the budget. We did the things different again this year. We worked on our goals and with not many updates. In the past, we used to get updates during the day, how good we're doing, and we seem to stall when we think we've reached a reasonable amount. This year, we just kept going. We just kept going. And we kept going, as I'll speak to it later down in my speech why we did this. But some of the highlights in our budget this year: no new hires. We decreased our payroll by 1% in every department, and that's including police. Every department this year, we cut payroll by 1%. Over the past 3 years, we've worked on the budget process. We have targeted expenses, revenues, and partnerships. Another example of partnership is our purchase of natural gas by joining together with other communities to make a partnership. Our decrease in 1 year was $60,000. Our utility budget at this point has been frozen for 2016. That was to be an increase near 9%. We have a report coming to council that we don't know what we'll do with yet, but it's looking at increasing at only 2.3. Of course, when you do this, people say it's an election year. It has nothing to do with being an election year. We are, in our country and in our province and in our city, in a slowdown. And I'm going to talk about that very shortly on what we're doing to react to that. Because I want to note last year, we had the lowest tax increase in the province. Or one of them. When we did the report, there was still 2 cities. So we continue that. And I believe we're going to have to continue that in 2017, because I do not believe our country and our province and our city will come out of the economic slowdown in 2016. With that said, I want to talk about the economic slowdown. The economic slowdown, which I believe has really impacted our province and our city in 2016 and will continue to impact us in 2017. With the price of oil continuing to weaken, the price of potash, we felt that we had to respond to the economics. On Monday, we took action. We can't ask the province to help us and the federal government unless we took action. So on Monday, Council passed 2 incentive programs to help us in 2016. All city lots that are R2 and R5 zoning from February 1st to March 31st will now be on sale at 15% off. This is to spur the smaller contractors, not the big guys that I talked about, the subdivision. We have lots of contractors that build 1, 2, 3 houses a year. They're not building. I've talked to electricians, plumbers, lumber yards, and we are just not growing in that sector. So we moved to see if we get those contractors affected. We have already had a positive response. It doesn't even come into effect till February the 1st, and I can announce today we already have 6 lots on hold. So this is going to help our housing market. But unfortunately, our condo market continues to be stalled. In talking to lots of purchasers, part of the problem is the national media. I'll leave the local media alone. The national media. When you listen to the national media, when they talk about the condo market, they talk about that we're living in a bubble. That the condo market is overvalued and one day that bubble is going to break. Well, they're talking about Vancouver, Calgary, Montreal, Ottawa, Toronto. They're not talking about small cities. But people hear that and they panic. One of our developers that have 4 that are renting, that we're going to purchase, are renting for that purpose. They're worried about what is going to happen with the condo pricing. So hopefully in the national media we'll start getting a little positive and don't paint us all in the same brush. Because I do agree, I have relatives in those 4 cities, and the housing markets are unbelievable. Well, in Vancouver, if you don't have $1 million, don't go shopping. I don't know how anyone can live in the city. This has caused us, as a city, to react, and a problem. We were soon, hopefully, going to announce that we were going to bring 3 more sites on for condo development in our city. And this is city-owned land. We've slowed that process down strictly because talking to the developers, they like the idea, they think it's going to work. We're going to continue to move it forward and get all the T's and the approvals done and the rezoning done in 2016, but we will probably not bring them on the market until later this fall or 2017. Because we already have an issue with the condo market, we don't have to bring more product on. Number 2. The first time in the city of Prince Albert's history, we passed a resolution. We are now going to pay our commercial real estate agents a 5% commission to sell our light, heavy, and commercial properties in the city of Prince Albert. These are professionals in our community that have the knowledge and the connections to help us sell this property. The reason that we need to sell our properties, when you sell properties, you're going to get construction. You're going to get construction, you're going to have new jobs, new businesses. And at the end of the day, our goal should not be so much as looking at the profit that we can make on land sales. It's looking at the tax return we can make after we sell that property and help burden and spread the tax base for all our communities. We will be soon bringing a report to City Council to talk about a country residential rate to help to spur construction on acreages north of the river. And this was an interesting discussion when we met with the RMs last week, because part of our problem is that north of the river, their taxes are probably 30% less, the RM of Buckland, than ours, and they have city water. And lots of our acreages north of the river don't have city water. So that's a challenge. And it's a demand and a need in our community. People want to live on acreages. And so I have to remind people, we own land, and our city limit starts at the bridge, goes past the pulp mill. So we have acres and acres of land that can be developed for country residential, and we hope to soon move forward on that. Council will also soon have asked, and a report will soon be brought forth to Council to talk about an incentive program, an invested incentive program to spur new construction in our city. So we're going to look at what we can do more to attract people with incentives to build in our community. The announcement from the federal government about a $1 billion incentive program for Saskatchewan and Alberta. We have numerous projects several projects ago. But if you were to hear the challenges going forward for our province, Mayor Atchison, City of Saskatoon, said in an interview that they could use the whole $1 billion. So you can see the challenge that pool is going to be. If I was to ask the federal government today to fill our wish list, what would my request be? My request would be $300 million. As a group, we are continuing to work forward on filling our needs in our community, which spurs large investment and economic impact to our community. In no particular order, because I was asked this the other day, so I put my answer first, so you know the answer. Because I was asked at a joint meeting with the health board, is I am referring to a new hospital, which is a big need for our community. Our hospital continues to be full, and in some cases over full, where we have to continue to transfer patients. We need a new bridge, which is moving forward. It stalled a little because we're now waiting for the new Liberal government to discuss how they're going to fund that. We need new facilities, which was part of our 10-year plan, which is included an aquatic center and rinks. These projects have already been worked on for 3 years. So we continue to work on these projects because people have to understand, when you're working on the new hospital, a new bridge, a new rink, a new pool, it's a 10-year process. It's been 3 years for the hospital just planning, blueprinting, modeling, meeting with their partners, interviewing people on what our needs are. Number 7, as a council, we continue to support local business. Our purchasing efforts will help spur employment in these areas. For example, our insurance for the city was up this year. All our bids were similar. We had a challenge. We could go with a multinational company out of the United States that supplies great insurance rates to Saskatoon or Regina, or we could support local business. We chose to support local business. The firm that got it, Cornerstone, employs 36 young families in our community. And so where we can, we're going to continue that practice. In some cases, though, we also have to look at the best value for the taxpayer. So when we had a case like that where they were all similar, actually they're almost identical, because I learned one thing in the insurance rate, they have a standard rate card. And so when you have that, it's an easy thing to do. The price of the dollar continues to affect all of us. For example, ready for this? For example, pound for pound, cauliflower today is now more expensive than beef. Cauliflower, a vegetable, is now more than beef because of the 30% increase in food costs. Soon to be followed by salary. Imagine that. Because we've used up our supply that we produce in Canada, and we have to buy our products now in the United States. In talking to our restaurant owners, their food costs over the last year have increased 30%, which is causing them a great stress because they cannot afford to pass that price increase totally on to the consumer. And they can't. We went and our bacon and eggs were up 30%, or our meals up 30%, we'd be upset. And we continue to track our budgets as we realize we only have one taxpayer. And so we have to. So before I go to my commercial, I do have a commercial, and then I'll take some questions, and the reason that we're responding to this, we believe in good governance. It has nothing to do, people say, well, it's an election year. Well, you look at all these programs we're doing. These programs we're doing today is totally because of where we sit today with our economy. Lots of the business here today know what layoffs are. They know what the lesser profit lines are, because we're all challenged with that. And so we have to remember that. And it's easy to say, and I'm the first one to say, give me the money, province. But you can imagine the challenge they're going to have with the price of oil. The price of oil is not going to rebound down. You guys just have to remember, if you watch the news, Iran now is going to start trading 500,000 barrels a day on the oil market. That is not going to bring the price up. And that's caused the controversy with the pipelines, which Saskatchewan was involved in 2 of them. If the economy and the price of oil was $100 a barrel, I don't believe we'd be having this discussion that we're having with the pipelines. Because that's political will. It flows with the money. But now that we're under stress, we're looking at everything more carefully and don't want to move. But we've shown there's different ways to move oil, but they're not as safe. We can truck, rail. You've seen all the disasters in the rail. And as long as we continue to put more products, it's going to affect us. So I want to thank you for this. I'd like to end that I do believe Prince Albert in 2016 with these programs are going to continue to be stable. Are we going to grow? We are, not by very much, but we are going to be stable. Lots of communities are going to continue to slip, and we're fortunate. You know, I just was talking to the minister about my conversation with the mayor of Escalante. 30% unemployment. They're going to close 2 hotels this year. That's incredible, how the impact that we have. And it does impact us all. Now, we have been reaping the benefits. Whoever thought it would be 77 cents a liter. But the real test on the price of oil and gas will be the first long weekend in the province of Saskatchewan. Because that's when the price of gas starts going up, when we need it the most. You know, because we want to travel to the lakes in our homes. But just so you know, it is still a positive picture for our community. I believe with the incentives that we put in place on Monday and the ones that we're going to look at the next couple of months, that we're going to make it move forward. We are going to push hard on our facilities and our new hospital. If we could get all those things, if you heard what I said, if we get all those 4 things under construction, that would be an economic game changer for our community. And that's why we push hard on those, especially the hospital. We need a new, you ready? Northern hospital to service our region. And that's what we service. We service the north. One thing that we've done in our studies on our facilities is we hired a group from the University of Saskatchewan. They have now come out, so all you retailers, I used to say in the retail industry that we market to 165,000 people. We have a new report that shows now that we market to 195,000 people. So that's one of the benefits we have as a city, that we are a hub of the north. And that you can tell by the retail that is going to continue to grow. We have to grow our education programs, work with all our technical schools, our subdivisions, and our province to continue to grow our education programs. And we need healthcare. And with healthcare, we need a new hospital. So I encourage everyone to keep positive and on board and moving forward.